Do you think that some bears with Bitcoin have said, okay, there will be a Bitcoin 2.0 that someone comes up with? I don't know whether there's something more perfect.
There were so many.
Is there anything more perfect? Can there be something more perfect than Bitcoin?
I think most people understand that Bitcoin is the money revolution. This is the first global.
A lot of people don't understand that because they haven't read anything about it.
Right, private, so no government oversight, digital, very important, rules-based monetary system in history.
Major bullish news, guys. Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seyffart just dropped that the SEC is most likely to approve the Bitcoin ETFs either January 8th or January 9th. Seyffart said the window is officially January 5th to January 10th. Really, this means that any potential approval orders are going to come on either Monday, January 8th, Tuesday, January 9th, or Wednesday, January 10th. Mark your calendars, because it looks like the runway is being cleared for the prophecy to be fulfilled and Bitcoin to hit 5 million. We got a lot to cover. Let's get it.
Party, that party. Yeah, come and have a good time with G.O.D.
It is true. Monetary policy around the world is unhinged. It's not hinged to anything except human decision making. And this is going to put discipline, rigor back into
these particular products you're talking about.
Well, Bitcoin is, the monetary system is Bitcoin.
Like Cathie said, it looks like everyone is starting to wake up to that fact. There's Bitcoin, there's crypto, and also the fact that the future-based monetary network, the only thing with that potential in existence today, is Bitcoin. There is no second best. And going back, this all supports the Bloomberg analysts who have said for months there is a 90% chance of approval, and they're likely to all come at once. Now, Bloomberg analyst Eric Balchunas also joined the Bitcoin layer with Nick Bhatia and also hit on the fact that this is a one of one. Just like Bitcoin being created, this is a one of one event. Buckle up.
Now, let's get right into your prediction. Bloomberg and your team have it at 90% probability that we will have a spot Bitcoin ETF approval by January of next year. So talk to us about that prediction.
Yeah, we've been at 90% for months now. As I like to say, before it was cool and before it was safe. I see all these big institutions like JP Morgan and Standard Chartered, they're now coming out with, oh yeah, we're more and more confident we should see approval. I'm like, it's easy to say now. It was hard when we did it. And what really got us bullish this time was, first of all, the Grayscale lawsuit. So that's when we immediately went to 90%. The SEC is starting to had engaged with the issuers. They sent them notes on the prospectuses saying, hey, can you actually increase your disclosures on X, Y, and Z? How do you plan to do the NAV? I want more information on this. You're only going to do that if you have plans to get these prospectuses into shape for approval. I mean, it doesn't get any more. It's almost like they've informally, you could say they're not approved yet, but the planning to approve is real. So in order to have sort of Derby, where they're all lined up and they launch the same, they had to delay Franklin. So that was even though it was a delay, and that sounds bad, it was actually very positive. You're going to see a bunch of launches on the same day. If you take a broad look, like people like Michael Saylor have, which I think is smart, which is, look, they're coming out with the dates January or February, that isn't as relevant as the fact that these traditional finance companies are launching these. The SEC is ready to approve them. And ultimately, over the next couple months, we're going to see these come out. I mean, it's pretty much done. Just try to see the big picture. This is a one-of-one situation, and it's been going on for 10 years. That's why we're so stuck on this.
Interesting here, Joe Carlasari. Again, he's always by probabilities and things of that nature. No ultimatums here, but currently the trajectory looks like, and if he's saying so, I'm more likely to believe it. January 5th or 8th looks like the approval date, and in that week, in that 5 to 6 day window, guys, things are going to get bonkers. Check this out. Billions of dollars will pour into Bitcoin ETFs, and then it will break new all-time highs. That is one of the most coherent sentences I've ever heard from this shitcoining Galaxy Digital's Mike Novogratz ever. In other news, the SEC has met again with BlackRock and Grayscale about the potential Bitcoin ETFs. They were asking Cathie, what do you think is behind Bitcoin's run? Is it just speculation? I think Larry said it best. It's about a flight to quality.
If you look at the pecking order, our filing is next in line.
No, I know you're on the list. So
yes.
The question. So let me ask you about that, because I think, and the question is actually at $36,000. Do you think that the move that we've seen in Bitcoin over the last, I don't know, 2 months now, how much of that is a function of sort of a pent-up demand or an anticipation that the SEC, because folks like BlackRock and Fidelity and you and others have made these applications, have the sense that it's more likely to happen now than it was a year or two ago?
Yeah.
And is that misguided? Is that realistic? What is that?
This rally is way beyond the rumor. I think the rally today is about a flight to quality with all the, all the issues around the Israeli war now, global terrorism. And I think there's more people running into a flight to quality, whether that is in treasuries, gold, or crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality.
$240 billion asset manager Rick Edelman has also chimed in and says financial advisors are waiting for the Bitcoin ETF before recommending Bitcoin to clients, and this thing really just goes mainstream. And again, guys, the SEC appears to be meeting with everybody, echoing what Cathie Wood was saying about these conversations. The momentum is there. We've always said, when, not if, and it looks like that date is becoming more set in stone by the day. Have you been stacking the corn? Now the SEC publishes Franklin Templeton and Hashdex's delays on the Federal Register, and Balchunas had a statement about this as well. It was done so to approve them all at once. We'll have this full thread from MDB down below, but 10-spot Bitcoin ETF issuers, only one asset, has a fixed supply, 21 million. Not a lot of Bitcoin to go around, with a lot, billions and trillions on the sidelines wanting to get after those Satoshis. And this is why we had the title, Available Supply Continues to Drop to Levels Not Seen Since 2016. Only 21.2% of the Bitcoin supply is held by exchanges or other active on-chain addresses. Increasing supply-side illiquidity is on collision course with a tsunami of demand. 27 trillion on the sideline. And as we talked the other day, Dylan LeClaire broke this down. They're not going to go all in at once. The price would go, it would be bananas. They're going to start with like a 0.05% to 1% allocation and then start to dollar cost average. But again, there's only so much Bitcoin left on exchanges. What do you think that means? Michael Saylor called it. He's been a bull. He keeps stacking like a madman. We got to answer the call and start stacking like Saylor. But get your bags packed, passport ready, because the three catalysts Michael Saylor said that will take Bitcoin to 5 million, they're all about to be checked off within like the second week of January. Bank custody and lend Bitcoin? Check. Fair value? Check. Standard Chartered just said we're going to the moon. I don't think we're bullish enough. Oh, and I thought I saw something by Gold Telegraph today, like gold's over 2000, the shiny rock. This is the era of gold. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, guys.
Matter of fact, let me explain why Bitcoin is a superior form of money than gold. Okay? I'll do that right now. Both fiat money and gold are inferior to Bitcoin for one very simple reason, that with a Bitcoin transaction, it is also simultaneously the settlement. You don't have that with fiat, you don't have that with gold. If I do a transaction in gold, the gold has to be verified. If I do that in fiat, that fiat has a verification level, and we see that in the repo market. Because banks don't trust each other, repo rates are skyrocketing because you have to settle these trades. Until a trade is settled, it doesn't really count. With Bitcoin, when you do a Bitcoin transaction, the transaction is the settlement. It is the settlement. That's what makes it better money than gold or fiat. It's just as scarce, it's just as divisible, it's just as portable, it's just as desirable, except it has a built-in settlement layer. It is part of the transaction. That's what these frickin' guys don't understand. Like, Peter Schiff, he's completely clueless when it comes, because he's never spent even 5 minutes looking at it. He just mouths the same thing over and over and over again. He's an uninformed imbecile. He's an imbecile.
I gotta get you both.
Imbecile.
And also, guys, a reminder, whether it's Larry Fink's ETF, Cathie Wood's ETF, or Grayscale, it's not Bitcoin. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. And if you want to know how Grayscale works, this really breaks it down. Imagine your girlfriend sleeps at his house and charges you 2% annually, but lets you keep a photo of her. That's what GBTC and ETFs basically are. Now, it will open the floodgates to certain investors, institutional investors, being able to get that access, like Rick Edelman said. And it's going to pump Bitcoin. If you look back in history at when the gold ETF launched, but it didn't launch into things like this. All the economic calamity, and everyone says Bitcoin's a hedge against inflation, but Bitcoin is just a hedge against all the bullshit. Cathie Wood nails it.
everyone understood the inflation part of it because right now it's pretty much considered like digital gold, a hedge against inflation. But we learned something very important during the March regional bank crisis. What happened to Bitcoin then? Now, that was risk off and a deflationary vibe about it, right? Banks going bankrupt. Bitcoin went from 19,000 to almost 30,000, up 50%. What was that? That was proof of concept that it's a hedge against deflation too. What can cause deflation in a financial crisis? It's counterparty risk. You don't know what is on the books of the banks and which ones are going to go bankrupt and which ones aren't. So there's a seizing up. So, just get away from that. Move into an ecosystem where there is no counterparty risk. That is Bitcoin, completely decentralized, completely transparent, and no counterparty risk. So I think more people are beginning to understand that, sure, it's a risk-on asset, but it's also a risk-off asset. And gold has some of that, but Bitcoin has that on steroids, I would say.
Things are looking bullish, and with all this going on, the likelihood of a supply shock, people being caught swimming naked, you want to make sure that you have self-custody of your Bitcoin, not your keys, not your cheese. Self-custody is the revolution, and if you need help getting started, taking your Bitcoin off exchanges, or anywhere you are in your Bitcoin journey, we got just the guys to get you covered. Simply Bitcoin Originals are powered by the Bitcoin Way, and if you want to take self-custody, get your Bitcoin off those exchanges, well, as your dedicated Bitcoin IT team, the Bitcoin Way is here to guide you from start to finish on your journey to properly self-custody your Bitcoin. What's more, they've recently introduced 100% privacy-focused collaborative custody services where you'll benefit from advanced multi-sig security, inheritance planning, and much more while remaining 100% in control. Looking to get started or take your Bitcoin setup to the next level? Book a free 30-minute call using that link below. Guys, get ready because the bull is about to get let out of the cage, and there is nothing that will stop it. Are you bullish yet, Anon? Man, what a way to end the week. Be sure to like, subscribe, share that Sound Money Gospel. Follow us on Twitter where we're getting all the latest breaking news. Set those notifications, stay tuned, and we will be your guide through the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Things are looking up. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Till next time, peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, fuck you.